Peace, everyone. I'd like to take a second to talk about something near and dear to my heart. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? I mean, when I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had so many questions like, how do I even record an episode? Where do I find background music? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other popular places I like to listen? And where do I find advertisers? The answer to each and every one of these questions was very simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, for distributing, and even monetizing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and 100% ridiculously easy to use. Now, thinking out loud is an art. Anchor gives me the canvas and platform to be the artist I always wanted to be. So if you've always wanted to be an artist and start your own podcast, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start. Join me and the rest of the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Peace, everybody. It's your man, Honorable October 9, and this is the Art of Thinking Out Loud podcast. Today, I think what we'll talk about is the media discrepancies. This will be kind of a continuation of the last podcast I did about questioning reality. Nowadays, you have to question everything you see, not just what you see that's purportedly fictional. You have to question everything that they even claim is authentic. Like the daily news. Most of the stories you see on the news are scripted. I'll say most. The reason I'll say most and I won't say all is because every now and then the news will appear on the scene as something is going on, something that wasn't planned. But that rarely happens. And when they do, you can tell because they look completely discombobulated. But when you see the news and they're usually at some of these events that you see going on, everything is already carefully scripted. They already have actors, whom I call crisis actors because they show up at every single event. And they seem to have all the details of the story down packed from what time it started, how many people were shot, what they did that made themselves heroic in the situation. It's like my man Tim Osmond from Infinite Plane Radio would say, we call it Scooby-Doo justice because you'll see the crime on grainy ass video and then they'll pretty much already have it solved within like 5-10 minutes, sometime within like 2-3 days. People, this is a farce. Since when have you seen events happen where there isn't a thorough investigation? Since when do witnesses, especially children with no parental consent, just speak freely to the media as a situation is unfolding? So you have to ask questions that other people don't ask. You have to stop following the official narrative. You have to start questioning. You have to start paying closer attention. Something else you have to do is you have to start auto-hoaxing. Auto-hoaxing is a term that means that you just automatically assume something is fake. The burden of proof is on them to prove it's real, not on you to validate it. It's on them. So whenever something happens, automatically assume that it's fake until they can validate it. When I say fake, like some of these school shootings and some of these mall shootings and these other places where you see a lot of shootings. I don't want to name the places because I may get flagged, but I'll just say these different locations where you see shootings. A lot of times the reports on the bodies are not accurate. They'll go from saying that maybe 17 people were shot, 3 died, and then the next thing you know, that number has inflated up to like 7 died, and then it's like 9 died and 12 died, and they'll show you pictures of the families and they'll show you pictures of the victims. But then when you go and do background checks, now I will say this, sometimes people do die, but sometimes they'll use reports of people who have already passed years before. Other times, they'll actually just fabricate the entire situation, and they'll use photos of maybe another sibling when they were younger, or a sibling who has already passed on. See, guys, it's a big ass illusion. I won't go too much further right now because I don't want to make this extremely lengthy. But my name is Honorable October 9. This is the Art of Thinking Out Loud podcast. And, hell, click the link. You can get to all of my social media platforms. And email me. Yeah, email me, message me, contact me. So we can, share notes, compare things, and let's try to get to the bottom of these situations. Peace, everybody.